Hey everyone! So, let's talk about a technology that is completely changing the world, pretty much right under our noses. It's connecting everything from our fitness trackers to entire cities. We're diving deep into the Internet of Things, or IoT, to figure out how it all really works and, what it means for all of us. And when I say it's everywhere, I mean the scale is just mind-blowing. By 2025, experts are estimating there will be something like 39 billion of these connected devices online. To put that into perspective, that's more than 4 devices for every single person on the planet, all just talking to each other, silently, in the background. And this isn't some sci-fi future we're talking about. It's already here, right now. It's the Apple Watch on your wrist, checking your heart rate. It's the smart LG fridge that can tell you you're out of milk. It's even the John Deere tractor in a field, using sensors to farm with incredible precision. It's in our homes, our cars, and even in our hospitals. So that's the big question, right? How does this giant web of physical things actually work? How in the world does your watch talk to your phone, or a sensor on a highway talk to the city's traffic grid? Okay, so here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll define what we even mean by connected things. Then, we're going to pop the hood and see how an IoT system actually works. We'll look at the special language these devices use, tackle the huge security problem, and finally, think about what all this means for our future. All right, first things first. Let's get a really clear, simple definition of what we're actually talking about when we say the Internet of Things. At its heart, the Internet of Things is a network of physical objects. And these aren't just your normal computers or phones. We're talking about everyday items that have been given a kind of digital brain with sensors and software. This lets them connect to the Internet to collect and share data, all on their own, completely automatically, without you or me having to do a thing. Okay, so how does this all come together to form a working system? It might seem super complex, but you can actually break down almost any IoT setup into 4 basic core components. So it always starts with a sensor or a device out in the real world collecting data, like, say, the temperature in your living room. Step 2, that data gets sent up to the cloud. Step 3, software in the cloud processes that data, looking for patterns or useful info. And finally, step 4, that information is either shown to you, like on an app, or it triggers an action automatically, like turning on your AC. It's this constant loop: sense, send, process, and act. So let's dig into that first step a little more, because it's so important. For any device to be smart, it first has to be aware of the world around it. And that's where sensors come in. They are literally the eyes, ears, and nerves of the Internet of Things. Now, this first step actually has 2 key players. Think of it this way. Sensors are the system's senses. They gather information, like a thermometer reading the temperature. But then you have actuators, which are the muscles. They take a digital command and perform a real-world action, like a smart lock actually locking your door. So one gathers information and the other does something about it. And engineers look at these same components in a slightly more technical, layered way. You've got the perception layer at the bottom. That's our sensors and actuators touching the real world. That data then moves through the transport layer, using things like Wi-Fi or cellular. Then the processing layer is the brain, where all that data gets analyzed. And finally, at the very top is the application layer. That's the app on your phone that you actually interact with. See, each layer just builds on the one before it. Okay, so our devices can sense the world and they can act on it. But for any of this to work, they all have to speak the same language, right? That's where communication protocols come in. There are a lot of them out there for different jobs, but we're going to focus on one of the most fundamental ones. One of the most important languages in the IoT world is called MQTT, and its design is just brilliant, mainly because it's incredibly lightweight. It was built from the ground up for tiny devices that don't have a lot of processing power or a big internet connection. Like a tiny sensor that has to run on a battery for 5 years. The way MQTT works is genius because it's so simple. It's like a post office. Instead of every device trying to talk directly to every other device, a device called the publisher sends a message about a specific topic to a central server called the broker. Then, any other app or device that has subscribed to that topic instantly gets the message. It's super efficient because the sender doesn't even need to know who's listening. Now, with 39 billion devices coming online, we absolutely have to talk about the elephant in the room: security. Because connecting everything creates amazing opportunities, sure, but it also creates some really massive risks. This quote from the security experts at Palo Alto Networks really says it all. In this big rush to make everything smart and get it on store shelves, Security is way too often treated like an afterthought instead of a priority. And that speed over security mindset leads to some huge, glaring problems. Probably the biggest one, weak default passwords that are the same on every device. I'm talking about thousands of webcams or routers all shipping with the password admin or 1234. When people don't change them, these devices become wide open doors for hackers to spy on people or build giant armies of infected devices. And this really gets to the core of the issue. The problem is foundational. Far too many of these devices are not secure by design. Security needs to be baked in from the very first step of the design process, not just sprinkled on top at the end like it's an optional feature. So this brings us to the big picture, our connected future. We're really standing at a crossroads here, trying to figure out how to balance all the incredible convenience of IoT with the very real risks that come with it. Look, the potential here is just massive. We're talking about smart cities that cut down on traffic jams, automated homes that save energy. It's all amazing stuff. But, and this is a huge but, unlocking all of that potential depends completely on our ability to solve these core security issues first. Security isn't just a feature, it's the foundation for everything else. And that leaves us with a pretty important question to think about. As our devices, our homes, and our cities all get smarter and more connected, are we actually getting any safer? Finding the right answer to that is the challenge we're all going to be facing in the years ahead. Thanks for watching.